Most of you know who I am. I'm Steve Nassar. I'm a top real estate agent here in the Portland metro area. Also one of the partners at the biggest real estate firm in Oregon, Premier Property Group. We should be hitting, we're currently right around 1,350 agents. I think we'll be hitting 1,500 this year. We're currently opening 2 more offices for a total of 22, and we're actively working on more. I am here to share with you the blueprint to winning listings, okay? I've built a system that wins listings and ensures my clients get the best results. I'm going to blueprint for you today everything I do from first contact with a new seller client all the way through the interview and beyond that gets me the listing, okay? In so doing this, and by the way, I've done this class, this will be the 6th, and for now, this will be the final time that we're doing the class. We are recording it, by the way, so if there is going to be a fire hose here of information coming at you guys. If you would like the recording, please reach out to me. I'm very easy to find. You can Google me, email me, and my website has my email address, and this recording will live on indefinitely in the Premier Property Group online library. We're happy to share it with anyone. We're also going to be sharing the slide deck through Lawyers Title. They'll share it with everybody today, as well as some useful information, checklists, and some other stuff that I'm going to be going through with you today. Okay. In this process, having done this class 6 different times prior, it was obvious to me for this course and presentation to be most effective that I needed to answer 2 different questions in the minds of everybody in the room and online prior to the start of the class. The first question is, why is Steve qualified to teach how to win listings? Okay. The second is, and probably equally important, why would Steve want to teach others his proven process of securing listings? Many of you are in the same market as me, right? Am I really pulling back the curtain and showing you everything? Why would I do that? So let me address both of these questions one at a time. The first question why am I qualified? Okay. As I mentioned before, I'm a top listing agent here in our area. I regularly go, on average, to about 5 to 10 listing appointments per week, okay? Now, I say that it varies because our business varies from time of year. We're coming out of the holidays. Obviously, in the middle of December, I have less listing appointments than I would have here in a few months, where we're in peak spring season, getting everything ready to go on the market, right? In going to that many listing appointments per week, sometimes 3 or 4 in a day, I, on average, secure about 95% of those listings, okay? Get those sellers to work with me and sign a contract and go on the market, okay? To put that into perspective, if I'm going to 20 listing appointments, that means about 19 of them are choosing to work with me and my team, okay? I think all would agree that's a pretty good success ratio, right? Beyond that, I specialize in listings in all price points. I currently have a listing in Beaverton that's just over $200,000. And at the same time, I have a couple listings in Lake Oswego, $7 million, $9 million. And I have everything in between. 600, 700, 800, lots. I would say our bread and butter is the $1 to $4 million range, okay? So the formula that I'm going to share with you guys today works in all price points. It's not specific to any one price point. Let's go to the next question. Why would Steve want to share his proven formula? Okay? You're going to see a quote up here. It's from an individual named Zig Ziglar. Zig Ziglar, who by the way has passed away now, when I was getting into sales in the early 2000s, he was an iconic sales coach, author, inspirational speaker. I read many books of his, in addition to devouring a lot of other sales books. And he had many, many words of wisdom and many great one-liners and nuggets to share. None of them was more impressive to me than this one here. You can have everything in life you want if you will just help other people get what they want. This quote speaks to an abundance mindset. It speaks to the idea that those who help others will be helped hundredfold in return. Okay? I've lived this with my clients. I've lived this in my business. This is a universal principle. And by the way, Zig Ziglar did not come up with this. This is a concept as old as time. It goes back thousands of years. You can even say it's biblical. There's passages that talk about more happiness in giving, and what you give comes back plentiful towards you. At Premier Property Group, our mission statement is, our mission is to provide extraordinary service to our agents, our industry, and our community. Let me ask you guys in the room here. If I was to teach you guys how to go out into your communities and get more listings, is that giving you a good service? Is there a better service that I could actually give you? Would that be good for you? Would that elevate our industry? Would that help our community? Absolutely. In fact, speaking of community, there are many online especially, but even in the room, who aren't even from the metro area. Recently, we've had offices open up in Newport, Coos Bay, Eugene, Albany, Corvallis, Eugene, well up into Washington. It is very exciting for me to be able, these are markets I would never otherwise work in. Okay? It is very exciting for me to be able to know that I can influence and impact and help others be successful in those markets and help those communities through the sharing of things I've learned and discovered through the course of my career. I would say whenever I click it, just click it. It's that way. Perfect. Okay, let's move into it. Okay, I've answered the two questions. Let's talk about interviewing. The interview, right? Let's be honest. Sellers interview. That is a fact of life. It always has been, it always will be. At the very least, who can blame them? At the very least, if nothing else, even if they know who they want to use, oftentimes they want to get multiple ideas and opinions on the price of the home. Let me ask you guys a question. If a seller tells you that they're interviewing 3 agents, and hypothetically you were given the choice to choose whether to be first, second, or third, what would you choose? I've heard everything. That's a red herring question, by the way. That is not the reason you came to this class. That is not the formula and the blueprint to winning listings. Just to answer that for fun, I would say first or last, just don't be in the middle. But I've won many listings by being in the middle as well. So the reason I ask that is to plant the seed that it even matters where you're positioned. Because what I want to drill into you today, and a big part of what I'm going to share with you, a much better approach is to head all of the competition off at the pass and get your marketing system there, impressing them immediately and prior to any of the appointments. I'm going to expound on this many times over today, okay? I want to share with you guys a graphic that I'm going to take you through. I'm going to go through these one by one, but the evolution of my high closing ratio and my success in the business has come from the building and growing of these qualities and skill sets, okay? It starts with natural sales skills. It's added upon with consistent practice. It's built further with continuous improvement of service. It's further compounded by continuous improvement of marketing of that service. Then you add to it flawless follow-up. And last but certainly not least, when all of those things come together, you develop a strong reputation which takes a life of its own on and is more important than all the rest combined. Okay? let's go through these one by one. I'm going to speak to each of these a little bit, okay? Last year, almost exactly a year ago, I sat in this room and I did another presentation. It was about taking your business to the next level. Many of you probably were here for that as well. I spent a good deal of time talking about natural sales skills and what that means and what that doesn't mean, right? I'm not going to do that again today, but I will just quickly say and summarize that natural sales skills is your ability to connect with people, your ability to find common ground, your ability to transfer your excitement and passion about a product or service to them. I would actually define, if somebody asked me what makes someone a good salesperson, I would say it's when they are excited and passionate about something and they can transfer that to someone else. There are many times when I'm at a listing appointment, I can't tell you how often this happens, and I'll be sitting there at the table with them and I'll be explaining the marketing system and everything we're going to do and the great people that are going to come work on their house and get it ready to go on the market. And they will say, Steve, you are so passionate about what you do. It's refreshing, right? So natural sales skills is largely that. I love this quote talking about practice. Don't practice until you get it right. Practice until you can't get it wrong. Okay? And I'm going to tell you guys something. First of all, wait for it, practice what I preach. Okay? I've done this course 6 times prior to today. I still blocked off my calendar Saturday, Sunday, and yesterday so that I could rehearse it over and over and over again. Okay? That is the dedication it takes to go win listings. It takes that kind of practice. Now, I'm relatively fortunate in the sense that here and now today, as I said earlier, I generally have a lot of listing appointments. And my best practice today is at those appointments, okay? There are times, remember I said there's times in peak season, on a Saturday, I'll have 4 appointments. I'll have a 10 o'clock, a 1 o'clock, a 4 o'clock, and then on evening 7 o'clock, okay? You better believe when I go to those appointments, my muscle memory, my words are flowing off like silk. My transitions, my timing, my explanations are just on par, perfect, okay? I also appreciate that there are times of the year where maybe I have less appointments. Again, think December, middle of December, maybe 1 appointment a week or less even sometimes, and I'm a little rusty. I'm kind of trying to find my words, just like I just did there, right? Now, I often think, as an analogy, I'll give you, I'm an avid golfer. I love golf. I watch golf. And I often think about the great golfers, right? Like the Scotty Schefflers, the Rory McIlroys. I have to think it's similar for them, right? Do they ever go to the putting green and roll putts? Do they ever go to the driving range and hit balls? Yeah, I'm sure they do. But I bet those putts fall really easy. And I bet those balls on the driving range go really straight. Their best practice, I bet you, happens in peak season when they're playing in tournament after tournament, week after week. And the cameras are rolling, the crowds are standing there, and the competition is ferociously coming at them. That is their best practice, and it's really efficient. It's really efficient because they're doing what they do, but they're also practicing. And I'm fortunate to be in that place. Now, what about the rest of you guys, some of you guys, who don't have that many listing appointments? You do have to go to the proverbial putting green, the proverbial driving range. You do need to sit at a table and practice. Maybe by yourself, maybe with another agent, role-playing, maybe in front of a mirror, right? Don't practice until you get it right. Practice until you can't get it wrong. That says improvement of service, but I want to add the word continuous improvement of service. I didn't add the word continuous improvement of service because that's a lot of words, okay? The word continuous is important in there because it's never ending. It's forever improving, okay? I see some of you guys taking notes, And remember, we're going to share the slide deck with you, so a lot of what you're going to see you'll have access to, including some great email templates and more. There is one thing that is not in the slide deck that I'm going to say right now, and for those of you taking notes, you might want to jot this down, okay? If every listing of yours is better in the process and experience you create than the prior listing, every future interview will be easier. I'm going to say that again. If every listing of yours is better in the process and experience you create than the prior listing, every future interview will be easier. You should be constantly studying your business, systemizing your business. We are in a service business. The way you improve a service business is you systemize it, because then you lock in that service, and you can stand back and look at that service, and you can go, what if I did this here and did this here? What if I don't do that anymore? What if I add this? That's how you improve a service business, is systemization and continuous improvement of it. It will absolutely make a difference on future listing interviews. Okay, same thing. I didn't put the word continuous improvement of marketing there because it's too long, but it's continuous improvement of marketing of the ever-improving service, okay? It's a powerful combination. Let me clarify. Service is what you do for your clients. Marketing is how you explain what you're going to do for clients, okay? So the marketing would be your website. It would be your brochure. It would be your social media. It's where you tell the universe, this is what I do, okay? If your service is constantly improving and the marketing of that service is constantly improving, a powerful thing happens. And we tried to chart this to show you. You see the service getting better. You see the marketing getting better. Where those two things combine, exponential success occurs as both are compounding how they're getting better. Follow-up systems. Okay, let me just be the first to tell you that if you go to a listing appointment on Tuesday and they say, hey, we're meeting with 2 other agents, call us on Friday and we'll let you know, any final questions we have and what we're thinking. If you don't call them on Friday, it's bad, okay? You have to have flawless follow-up systems. Now, this class is not designed for me to promote one or over the other. I'm not going to do that. It could be a CRM. It could be a shared note with an executive assistant. It could be a to-do list. It could be sticky notes on your desk. I don't care. Just have great follow-up systems. One thing in my world that has helped my team and my business tremendously for many, many years, and now I want to be clear here, this is not the end-all be-all follow-up system, but it is a great safety net underneath all the other follow-up systems, is a weekly meeting with all team members via Zoom where we align and calibrate and go through, name by name, every active listing opportunity we have at that time, okay? That would be anyone we're talking to about listing. That would be anybody we have listed. That would be anyone in escrow, and that would be anyone with just closed, maybe possession hasn't changed yet, okay? We're going to say their name, what needs to be done this week with this person. Several key team members will discuss where we're at, and then an action plan is made, okay? Now, I said this before, and I'm going to say it again. If that's a safety net under my business, that is not the end-all be-all. Because back to my story, back to my analogy, or my scenario, I should say, if you meet with someone on Tuesday and they tell you to follow up on Friday, if your meeting's not in between there, what's going to catch that, right? But that is a great thing that we use in our business. Strong reputation. Eventually, over time, if all the aforementioned qualities and traits are working together, you will build a very strong reputation that makes everything much, much, much easier, okay? Now that is not to say that when that strong reputation, today I get calls where people aren't talking to anyone else, okay? Not always, not often, it can vary, but I don't assume that, and we still run our system out because I want them to see the system and I want to validate why they feel that way, right? But I can tell you, there are clients that may not need that because of the strong reputation. Think referrals. In my early days, I would get ugly or average listings and work my tail off to make them pop and look good. Eventually, after a while of doing that, the universe realized that I work hard to make my listings look good, and sellers of the pretty houses started calling us, making my reputation that much easier to look good. So let's move into some tactics and strategies to win more listings, okay? In this presentation, as I've said, I'm going to walk you through from first contact through signing the listing contract. Trust me when I tell you that the early steps are at least as important as the later ones, maybe even more so important. There's a fun slide up here. Does anyone know what movie this is from? Glengarry Glen Ross. Okay, that's a movie it's an old movie. Came out in 1992. When I first was getting into sales in the early 2000s, it was about 10 years old. It's a classic sales movie. Classic sales movie. Many of you may not have heard of the movie. I would be surprised if anyone's not heard of this line. ABC, always be closing. That's a famous line from that movie. There was another great scene right around here. It was Alec Baldwin, Jack Lemmon, where Jack Lemmon's pouring a cup of coffee and Alec Baldwin yells at him. He goes, "Put the coffee down. Coffee is for closers," right? The reason I have this up here is for this line, okay? I have a different spin on that line, okay? Always be opening the listing opportunity correctly. Always be opening the listing opportunity correctly. I've always believed that the best approach is to do that, and if you do that, the closing will be much easier. Let's get specific about this. I want to expound on this a little bit more, is what I mean. The opening of a listing opportunity is like the foundation of a house. If the foundation is crooked or not built in a solid fashion, it is darn near impossible to correct that through the construction process and make the house look right in the end. Okay? And let me clarify here. Okay? Can you imagine a scenario where a builder's building a house and the foundation's crooked? Okay? And can you imagine the builder saying, "Well, it's okay, don't worry. We'll just frame this wall to be a little bit shorter than this wall. That way our roof line's straight. And then when we build the subfloor, we'll shim it up a little bit more on this side than this side so that it's not obvious that the foundation was crooked." Can you imagine a scenario where that would ever work or ever happen? You wouldn't have a house that looks like this. You'd more likely have a house that looks like that. Okay? The same applies to us. Put simply, the things you do before the listing appointment are actually more likely to help you get that appointment and actually make it comfortable for you to get that listing and actually make it more comfortable for you at the appointment than the things you do at or after the appointment. I've always believed this and practiced this in my real estate business. It's almost a secret backdoor way to get the business, but if you actually think about it, it's the front door. Okay? I'm going to get into some real specifics about this. Okay? Whenever I have a listing consultation with a new seller, almost immediately upon getting off the phone, first of all, I will say we have a system. We have a checklist of tasks we do, okay, to fully intake that seller. The first and most immediate thing we do is send a well-written, templated email confirming the time of the appointment and sharing other useful and valuable information about me and what it's like to work with me. Okay? Let's read the email. This was an actual email used about 8 months ago It was sent to a seller client. We got the listing, and we've long since closed the house, okay? The name of the email is the Excited for the Opportunity email. No surprise, because that is also the subject line. And it says here, "Hi, Helen and Richard. Thank you for your time on the phone today, and I'm excited for the opportunity to assist you with successfully marketing and selling your home. I'm looking forward to meeting you both on Tuesday, April 1st at 1 p.m. In the meantime, you can see a little bit more about us and what makes us one of the top teams in the area by clicking on this video." I am going to click on this video here and play a snippet of it in a second. "I also encourage you to look on my profile on Zillow to see my past sales success, client reviews, and more. I will soon be sending you some samples of our unique and cutting-edge home video tours and the groundbreaking 3D showcase we create for each listing that sets my team and me apart. Have a great week." Okay? And I will click on that Zillow link as well. I want to repeat, expediency is key on this email. If I get off the phone with someone at 2, I ideally want to be sending this email, or a team member sending it on my behalf, within 15, 20 minutes. Promptness shows your ability to follow up and be professional, and is planting seeds of your performance in the future with that client. Even if they're not in front of their email at that exact moment, they will see this timestamp later of when it was sent in relation to your conversation, okay? Let's go ahead and show what the video says.
You should update your headshot.
I know. I would look that way without the beard, though.
This even includes our cutting-edge home video tours, complete with aerial videography.
The video tour Steve created for our home was spot on fantastic. It showcased so many special features and helped it sell very quickly. The video was so effective that the buyer said before he even set foot in it, he was sold on the home. And we had a ton of showings with a full price offer within 4 days.
Some more innovations we offer for sellers are 3D tours that allow buyers to walk around a listing from their computer or smart device, even going up and down stairs and cutting away for a three-dimensional dollhouse.
Okay, there's obviously more to the video. We're not going to show the entire thing. Just want to give you a flavor. I'm sending them valuable information about what it's like to work with me, and there's even some client testimonials on that video. Moving past that, we also then now, I tell them to look at my profile on Zillow, which is where I keep the lion's share of my reviews. I think I have several hundred, maybe even pushing 400 today. By clicking that link, you'll see it takes them to the landing page of those reviews, and they can see those. Here's the thing, okay? Obviously, a lot of times when a seller's calling me, that video, by the way, is on my website. Those Zillow reviews are out there on Zillow. A lot of times they've seen that. But here's my point. I'm not hoping they see that. I'm spoon feeding it. I'm putting information in front of them in a prompt, professional manner while also confirming our appointment that shows them and showcases who is coming to their house, okay? Let's move on from that. Do you remember that I teased there that there would be another email coming with some examples of our marketing? This email that I'm going to share with you now, we deliver this email purposefully. Okay, now the reason we deliver it is we do, with our system-based process, we want to get it off our plate. We want to do it at that juncture. Right when we get off the phone, we want to process that and do it then and not have to come back and do it later. So we purposefully deliver it for something like 12 to 24 hours later. Okay? Let me give you an example. So if somebody calls me Monday at 2 and I send that first email within 15 minutes, this email, and actually both of these go at the same time, one after the other, they would go something like Tuesday at 10 a.m., okay? The reason for that is to dole those out in palatable increments and not overwhelm them with communication that would shut them down, thereby causing them to possibly read nothing, okay? Did you guys know that the average human being consumes something like 2,000 pounds of food a year? Can you imagine sitting at a kitchen table that had 2,000 pounds of food on it? You probably would eat nothing. The same is true of us and our clients. If we send too much to them all at once, it can shut them down, and perhaps they read nothing. So we deliver this email to go out about 12 to 24 hours later, okay? In this email, I'm sending 2 examples of 2 listings I've sold, listed and closed in their proximity that are ideally slightly higher priced than their home. Okay, so let me ask you a question. If I have $1 million listing opportunity in Lake Oswego, am I sending them my $200,000 condo in Beaverton?
No.
No. Am I sending them my $9 million listing in Lake Oswego? No. No. Slightly higher price. That could shut them down just as quickly. Like, do you really do what I have? In a perfect world, I want to put in front of them a 1.2 to maybe $1.5 million listing in Lake Oswego. So they can relate and say, hey, he works in my area and he does stuff even a little better than this house. Okay? In showing this, not only am I showcasing the marketing I'm capable of creating, I'm showcasing that I work their area, I'm showcasing that others have chosen me in their area to work with me, and I'm showcasing that I successfully closed it, and I'm showcasing the presentation of the homes that I listed, okay? So let's go ahead and read the email. The subject line on this email is video marketing. This was a different client, but it was a real client that we grabbed this email template from, okay? Hi, Rebecca and Chris. I wanted to take a moment and share a few examples of the HGTV quality videos we create for our listings, complete with aerial images and a fully narrated voiceover that we carefully write. These videos help us ensure that any buyer anywhere in the world knows everything we want them to know about your gorgeous property. We find these to be incredibly powerful considering more than 95% of home searches today begin online. I will send you one last email for now. There's another teaser here with a sample of our cutting-edge 3D virtual tour. Click the links below for samples of our video marketing. There are 2 samples here. I'm not going to play both. I'm just going to play the top one, and I'm just going to play a snippet of this video here in a second. There's also another teaser at the very bottom, and we'll talk about this here in a second as well. To see our entire portfolio showcasing the consistency of our marketing, click here, Steve Nassar Team Luxury Portfolio. Thanks. Okay, let's go ahead and play the video.
Mid-century modern home offers a private sanctuary, ideally located within walking distance to downtown Lake Oswego and George Rogers Park. Tucked away in a serene cul-de-sac, you'll discover unparalleled privacy, surrounded by mature foliage and the soothing sounds of nature. Designed by Northwest architect Bud Oriental, the open concept.
You can see the beautiful presentation and staging that our great partners create. And of course, again, there's more to that video, but we're sharing our success in their area and our work, okay? Let's go ahead and click to the next. Is it working or not working?
Yeah, I'm doing it for you.
Okay, I thought so. Okay. I want to highlight this, okay? In addition to showing, and by the way, when I do go to their house for my listing appointment, I will have my computer open, and we're going to spend some time later here in a little bit talking about my listing presentation. This is the email I pull up to show my marketing, okay? I've already picked the best 2 subject houses to share with them and what we can do, okay? So I will literally go in my sent box and find those and talk about the marketing, what we do, why we do it, how we do it, when we do it, okay? And the presentation that we create. Beyond that, though, as I said before, we send them a link to our portfolio. And this is something I'm a big believer in and have been for a long time. When we get a good listing and we work our tails off to create the best presentation of that house, and then bring in our marketing team, and we spend thousands of dollars on videos, photos, virtual tours, It is not one and done. It is not, hey, we did that, we sold it, move on. You are creating a body of work that can live on for years to come. You are creating a portfolio. And remember that as you're investing that money. And see how we do that. So let's go to the next screen here. This is a page that is actually on my website, but it's also linked there in that email. That potential seller can click that link and they can see this map. These are all homes that we've sold, okay? And in doing so, they can hold their mouse over any one of those. Let's go to the next screen. And they can see, this one here is a house we sold about 1.5 years ago on Inverness Way in Beaverton. And clicking again, it pulls up the house, pulls up all the photos of the house, has a description of the house. It also has a link to the Premier Tour. That's our company's single property website that any of our agents can utilize through our PPG Marketplace marketing platform. Let's go ahead and click on that. It takes them to that website. It has the video, a similar caliber video that I just shared with you guys. It also has the 3D tour. It has all the photos and more, okay? Those people can do that on any one of those homes across the metro area. That is our portfolio. So I'm not just saying to them in that email, hey, here's 2 homes I sold near you. I'm saying, look at everything else I've done. Look at the consistency and the quality of work that we've done everywhere.
Hey Steve, what would you do if you haven't done a listing in their area?
I would go as close as possible. Yeah. By the way, guys, great question. I forgot to tell you guys, if you have questions, text them to these numbers. A lot of these questions will get answered through the presentation, and we want your questions. Casey's actually got the phone, and she's going to be writing down questions. And when we're done, if I didn't answer the question, we will go through those. That was a wonderful question, and I'm glad you asked that. I would go to something as near as possible. And the same is true about price point. The same is true about price point. If I don't have something that's just slightly higher, I'll do the best I can. Okay. That is the ideal that we strive for, though. Okay. So when I send that second email, I also simultaneously, right after it, send a third email. Okay, so they're both timed to happen at the same time. This one's called, the subject line is 3D Virtual Tour Marketing. This was the same clients, and it's the same 2 listings. We also offer a cutting-edge 3D tour that allows buyers wherever they are in the world to walk around the home virtually, see each level from a dollhouse view for floor plans, flow, and more. We also detail out every amenity within the home to ensure potential buyers see and understand everything we want them to be aware of. Additionally, we showcase all key exterior areas of the home, including outbuildings, ADUs, and beyond, with an interactive 360 view within the tour that makes it possible for a buyer to virtually preview everything, both inside and out. Click below to see examples of our 3D tours. Okay, same 2 listings. It takes them to the same single property site, our Premier Tour, but it's anchoring them to the 3D tour. The first one anchored them to the video, okay? And lastly, we do include our portfolio as a sign-off at the bottom of that email as well, okay? Let's go ahead and click this. Now, I do want to say one thing. This is a 3D tour. Normally, the homeowner would be moving the mouse and guiding the tour. It's a self-guided tour. For the purpose of this, we created a video. And there is no sound, so I'm going to explain a couple things. You'll notice those blue dots everywhere. Through our PPG Marketplace marketing platform, we call that, it's called Matter Tagging within Matterport, where you can, I call it dummy proofing my listings. It's where every amenity that makes the house special is detailed out. We also do something outside where all the key exterior areas, these are called highlights at the bottom, are labeled, and the buyer anywhere in the world can click on those key exterior areas, and it takes them to that exterior area, and they can do a 360 spin. By the way, at my listing appointments, I pull this up and I show them all of this. And it lets anyone, anywhere in the world, preview the entire house inside and out. The video is the guided tour. This is the self-guided tour, okay? Okay. The power of a seller welcome package, okay? I've always had, every day that I've been in this business, I've had a seller welcome package. I've had something that as soon as we get a new listing opportunity, usually meaning there's a listing appointment, something that I ship to their house that gets there within days to wow, impress them, and showcase my marketing acumen, our process, and tangibly show them that we deliver on our promises by quickly following through on what we said we were going to do. In the last year or so, I've worked with Leon Stamatis, our marketing extraordinaire, to create our latest and greatest iteration of that, which, by the way, you guys have a copy on your seats, those of you that are here. It's called the Seller Blueprint. And it's a beautiful guide to the process of selling a home that also sprinkles in great marketing concepts that we engage for all of our clients. It sets high expectations for the appointment with me as it talks, it sets high expectations for the appointment with me. The package is delivered to their home and is, of course, first and foremost a marketing piece to the seller, but it then later becomes the very listing presentation that I go over with them. They've often already read it when I get there and are simply just having it reinforced in them as I go through and dynamically and with excitement and passion share the process of selling the home that I know so well. And I'm going to go through this here in a little bit, page by page, and explain to you as I would the seller what they're looking at. I want to take a moment and explain to you guys the difference between digital media marketing and print marketing, okay? Digital marketing was what I first showed you. It's emails, it's videos, it's photos that are linked to that email. It's the single property website. Digital marketing is incredibly important. Print marketing is equally incredibly important. You need both, and let me explain why. They both have their strengths. Digital marketing is immediate. Remember I said I get off the phone with them and in 15 minutes they're getting an email from me? That's impressive. That's virtually immediacy. It's also free, okay? Digital marketing is free, okay? There's no cost to sending that email. It also can share with them digital assets that a print piece can't per se, okay? It can play a video. It can have a link to my Zillow reviews. It can have a 3D tour that they can play around with, okay? The problem with digital marketing is it's also an email that can often go into a cluttered email box. It can be opened, looked at, and then they get distracted, do something else, and they forget to go back to it. Okay? This is a tangible, touch it, feel it, see it, smell it, hold it, set it down, leave the room, leave the house, come back, it's still sitting there, pick it up again, representation of who you are and what you do. You want both. And you want to choreograph the perfect experience with both. I'm going to actually use that word a few times today, the word choreograph, because that's something I strongly believe in, is looking at it through the lens of the consumer, the seller, and seeing how things arrive and how they interplay with each other. The other beauty, and we actually show this here, the other beauty is they work perfectly together, okay? Digital marketing and print marketing, when used correctly, are artfully married together. We actually made a little cute icon. Kennedy's my slide deck wizard, and we created that little icon showing the digital marketing and the print marketing getting married and falling in love. When I go to my listing appointment, This is exactly what is on the table in front of myself and the sellers. I have the beautiful brochure. I'm flipping page by page. I'm explaining the process of selling a house. I'm explaining the marketing we're going to do. And at appropriate intervals, my computer's right there behind it. I'm playing a video. I'm explaining what they're seeing in the video. I'm explaining the 3D tour and what we do that's unique in that 3D tour. I'm showing them the photos. I'm explaining the power of twilight photos that make that front photo pop, and how everything starts with the photography. And if they don't like the photography, they're definitely not going to watch the video. And if they don't, they're not going to watch the 3D tour, and they're definitely not going to come to the house. Okay? You need them both. They work well together. Okay? It's a two-pronged approach. You can't just have digital marketing, and you can't just have print marketing. Okay, next slide. Okay, let's talk about interviewing. We're talking about presentations. Okay? I once, about 10 years ago, was in a place in my business where I found myself needing a secondary mortgage lender. Okay? As such, I reached out to a few lenders that I knew, good lenders, and I scheduled some interviews in my office. Okay? One of them, who shall remain nameless to protect the guilty, came and virtually did something akin to this. Now, in all fairness, they did not put their foot on the desk. But they had no presentation. They had no outline. They had no flow of what they were going to say and talk about. They were just going to chit-chat and freestyle. Okay? Needless to say, they did not get my business. Okay? Don't do that with your clients. Remember what I said about don't practice until you get it right, practice until you can't get it wrong? How do you practice that? If your listing presentation is I go to their house and I just chat with them, what are you practicing? Have a presentation. Guide them through the presentation. In the case of this, we've created it. We've stood back through years of experience and created the perfect presentation that we send to them in advance, and then when we get there, pull open and say, this is the process we will take you down if you hire me. Okay? Go back to that real quick. I want to explain one other thing. You understand why this is here. A lot of you are wondering, why is this here? Okay? Does anyone know what movie that is from? Okay. The reality is there's no reason it's there. We were looking for this image. We found this image and we were like, how do we not put Step Brothers in there? So there you go. You're welcome. Okay, let me ask you guys a question. Have you ever showed up to a listing appointment and the seller was incredibly respectful and friendly and was virtually acting like the listing was yours? Does that make the appointment easier or harder? I think most will agree.
Easier.
Much easier. Much, much easier. Okay? I will caution you though. Remember I said I'm going to teach you from some failures? There's a few coming up. Don't let your foot off the gas. Still do your listing presentation. I've made the mistake in the past where that was the case, and I just kind of skipped over my listing presentation. And then I leave there and I call them a couple days later and they go, oh, Steve, we're meeting with a couple other agents. We just want to see what everyone can do. I was like, oh, I didn't show you anything I can do. Always do your listing presentation, even if that's the case. Okay? I want to tell you a story about this. Okay? About 8 years ago, I got a phone call from a gentleman. He lived in Atherton Heights of Lake Oswego. Okay, many of you might know of this neighborhood. It's on the south side of Lake Oswego. It was a Street of Dreams community in the early 2000s. Beautiful homes, many of them with views, pretty high dollar. By the way, at the time, I was not doing a lot of high dollar price points. Okay, so this was a little bit intimidating for me, but exciting as well. Okay. I talked to the seller up front. I got off the phone with him. Within 15 minutes, I sent him something along the lines of the email that I sent to you. I did the best with what I could send. I had sold a couple high-dollar houses. They were not in his immediate vicinity, but I sent what I had. I also sent him my seller welcome package, and I went to the house. Okay? I kid you not. I barely had pulled in front of that house. I hadn't even opened my car door, and he comes running out with an ear-to-ear grin, so excited to see me. He shook my hand vigorously. He said, "Steve, I'm so glad you're here. I can't wait to show you my house." I'm here to tell you I did the best listing interview I've ever done in my life. I nailed everything. I got the listing. We sold the house. And believe it or not, that was a stepping stone in my career because that led to other opportunities for other high-dollar homes in the area. And the rest is history, right? It made it so much easier having the seller receptive to me and excited about my interview and my being there, okay? Okay, conversely, let me ask you another question. Have you ever shown up to a home and the seller is almost bothered by you being there and is hardly paying attention? How does that affect your interview? Is that good? Who's the one that said the other one was made it harder? Does this make it easier? I've been at interviews where it was obvious to me they just wanted my price opinion and they weren't using me. Do you think I'm doing my best work? No. All else being equal, the first is where you're most comfortable in doing your best work. It's obviously much easier, okay? So, now, what if I told you that the pre-listing appointment system, the things that you are rolling out prior to the appointment, do the heavy lifting, and they warm the seller up to the appointment. These systems will till, they will fertilize, they will wet the grounds, and whatever other frickin' farm analogy you want to use towards making that seller prospect friendlier and more into your presentation. Those systems, but wait, this is a BOGO. Does everyone know what a BOGO is? Buy one, get one free. Those systems you roll out prior to the appointment will also set the bar high for the competition. They will do two independent, different things. It makes it so that you look great to them from the get-go, which should, there's no guarantees here, but it should also make your presentation go easier. It also makes the seller look at the competition through the lens of the best interviewee is yet to come, which in turn might affect the presentation abilities of your competition. In other words, you are more likely to get this seller, while maybe your competition gets that seller. Okay, let's have me walk you through my process from first contact to signing the listing contract, okay? I've divided here the process of getting a listing into 4 quadrants. They are as follows. First contact, the pre-listing system, the actual listing appointment, and then follow up and closing the deal. Let's go through these one by one, okay? Do I need this?
I'm watching your finger.
Okay, okay, I love it. Okay, good, okay. It all starts with the first phone call. They may initially email or text you or message you on social media, but with few exceptions, you have to get onto the phone at some point. I want to hear about the seller's goals. I want to hear about their timelines so I can tailor my approach to meet their needs. I also want to start selling why I'm the best option to sell their home there on the phone. Fiercely resist the temptation to just schedule an appointment without getting on the phone. I will also say don't just have a quick phone call unless they dictate that. but have a meaningful phone call, okay? I want to tell you guys a story about this to convey how important this is, in my opinion. About 6 months ago, I was getting ready to do this very presentation in our downtown beautiful Bend office, okay? And that was on a Thursday, so I had blocked off Wednesday to rehearse. And as such, I was trying really hard not to work that day. I was at my home office, I was rehearsing. Of course, I'm looking at my phone here a little bit and there and just dealing with a few things in between. At one point that day, I looked at my phone and I had a new text message. It was a new seller client across the river in Oswego, okay? And the text said something along the line, Steve, you sold a house in our neighborhood not too long ago. We'd like to meet with you. We're getting ready to put our house on the market. Now, in the spirit of I'm trying not to work, it was very tempting, it could be very tempting to look at my calendar for the next week and fire back a text and go, hey, how about Tuesday at 2 o'clock? Sounds great. How about Tuesday at 2 o'clock? I didn't do that. I replied and I said, do you have a quick minute to chat? We jumped on a call. I learned about where they're going, what they're doing, why they're doing it. I learned how they found out about me. I started talking about my experience in their neighborhood, some other homes I sold, on. And the rest is history, right? It's that important. You have to get on the phone. You have to get on the phone. I explained my process and set expectations for the listing appointment. I truly believe the better you do here, the more of a difference it will make in their interviewing. I've had a recent extreme example where they said they had planned to interview more agents, but they were so comfortable with me and our conversation that they forego that and just were going to go with me. Now, I'm not saying that's going to happen every time. I'm not guaranteeing that. But you can narrow down the field if you do the right things and do a great job on that phone call. The story of that one was I had a seller reach out to me about a year ago. It was a house in Lake Oswego. It was a newer built home. And in talking to the client, I immediately identified that I knew the builder quite well, had sold other homes of theirs. And we connected over that. I also talked about some experience I had in that neighborhood with some other resale properties. And we connected and bonded over a few other things that built rapport. And she told me on that call, she said, you know, we were going to meet with a couple agents. We're just going to go with you. Okay. Again, I'm not saying that's always going to happen, but I do believe if they set out to meet with 3 people, you could thin it down to 2. You could, and possibly even less. Okay. And I know that from my personal experience. When I've needed professional services in my life, whether that's a doctor, a lawyer, a CPA, oftentimes, like a lot of other, like our clients, I've thought to myself, I need to talk to a few different people. You hit it off so well with one. They connect with you. They understand what you're looking to do. And all of a sudden, maybe you're just setting up an obligatory another one, right? Don't, this is going to sound funny. Don't phone it in on the phone. It matters. It matters. How that conversation goes is setting the stage for everything moving forward. Okay? On the phone, I will schedule the appointment and the listing appointment and touring the house, explaining the importance of meeting in person. Once I understand their goals, we schedule the listing appointment. I prefer, when possible, not to meet for a few days so that my entire pre-listing system can run its course. I know you guys, and I know that's going to defy what you want, or many of you think and feel. A lot of you, from my experience being around you, if you get a call on Monday for a new listing appointment, you want to go Monday afternoon or Tuesday. I'm encouraging you, let your pre-listing system do the heavy lifting and till the ground. Wet the ground. Remember all those freaking farm analogies? Prior to you going there. I also believe that if you schedule the appointment too quickly, you might look desperate and like you don't have a lot else going on. Okay? Now, don't get me wrong. I've had situations where a seller reaches out and there's urgency. Heck, 4 months ago, I had a record. Somebody called in the middle of our listing meeting on Tuesday, and I met with them 2 hours later because there was a dire need, and they found another house they want to make an offer on, and all sorts of stuff. I get that. That's not what I'm talking about. My experience is most people don't go to bed Sunday not wanting to sell a house and wake up Monday and they got to sell their house tomorrow. Okay? That's not usually how it works. I want to tell you guys another story. Okay? This is another failure that we've learned from, and this is actually something we learned in the last 6 months. The very first time I did this class, this story was not in the class. Okay? About 6 months ago, last summer, I had a listing appointment. I think I saw Jessica back there. It was on Hilltop Court in Happy Valley. And it was Thursday at 4 p.m. And I met with the husband and wife. And we toured the house. And we sat down on the table, and we were going through the comparables. And I was getting ready to do my listing presentation. We hadn't even gone through the entire comparables. And they started to get really nervous. I could sense a shift in their energy and that they were starting to get nervous. And then they told me, they said, Steve, how much longer is this going to go? We have another realtor coming at 5. And this is at 4:45. And I have not even started my listing presentation. Now, this is not the formula to do your best work, by the way. Rushing through your listing presentation. We hadn't even nailed the price that we were going to go on the market at. Lo and behold, that agent actually showed up a few minutes early. So there was a knock on the door as we're still sitting at the table. Till this day, I don't know who that agent was, by the way. They know who I was probably because I got the listing. The wife, they came up with a plan. The wife was going to go to the door and meet the agent and take the agent around the side of the house and show him the backyard. And then I was going to sneak out the front door. So here I am on a Thursday afternoon in Happy Valley, feeling like a mistress being shooed out the side door of a listing of mine while the wife comes home. Not a good experience, and one we learned from. So since then, we now are careful at this point to say, please block up at least, block up to 2 hours. We probably won't need that amount of time, depending on how many questions you have, but it just tends to be an appropriate block of time. Okay. Make your first of many promises and show prompt delivery on it. Oh, and back to that story. I didn't finish that. I went home that day. We agreed that we were going to Zoom, and I did. At 7 o'clock later that evening, we jumped on Zoom. Thankfully, because of COVID, I'm really good at Zoom and comparables and doing our listing presentation. We nailed the price, did my full presentation, got the listing, and we ended up selling it late last year. Okay. Wanted to bring that full circle. Okay, make your first of many promises and show prompt delivery on it. I also inform them that I will be sending some valuable information about me and my marketing strategy, both immediately in digital form by email and in tangible format as print examples within days, and to be on the lookout for that. By doing this, you are early on demonstrating the ability to do what you say, send valuable organized information via multiple channels. This is good for you and your chances. You're giving them early signs that, hey, I do what I say, and I do it promptly. Okay. Let's go on to the pre-listing system. You're done with the phone call. You've scheduled your appointment. You get off the phone. You have your system of checklist of things you're going to do in preparation for the listing appointment. We've already gone through a lot of this. Okay, so now I'm just going to quickly say it. You've seen these emails. You've seen what's in them. I immediately send email number 1, the excited for the opportunity. I confirm the appointment, explain more about me and my business. I then deliver for 12 to 24 hours later, emails 2 and 3. These are examples of nearby homes, ideally just a little bit better or higher priced in their vicinity that I've sold, along with the marketing and sharing the marketing and the presentation of those homes. We then go into the PPG marketplace, and we order for within a couple days for this seller guide, the Premier Blueprint, to arrive at their house. You guys may notice here, and I'm going to talk about this in a little bit, we, through our internal marketing print platform, we print their name, not on a cover letter, on the front of the book. Their name is printed on it. On the second page, their name is printed there, along with a fully customizable message printed inside to them. So they receive a book that they perceive to be created just for them. Okay? And that arrives within a couple days. We then write a handwritten card personalized to them that will arrive shortly after the listing appointment, reinforcing my commitment to the client and showing follow-up. Pay attention. I'm going to give you a gold nugget that I've never shared prior to this presentation that I've done. We mail it the day before the listing appointment. We want it to get there the day after the listing appointment, okay? In studying of the U.S. postal system, in most metro areas, when you mail something, it takes 2 business days to get there, okay? So if the listing appointment is on Thursday, we mail it Wednesday, and they will have it in their mailbox, usually, not always, but Friday, okay? We do this because we want to impress them. In fact, a few years back, I got a nice listing in Vancouver, very nice listing, multi-million-dollar listing. And he called me right after he got the handwritten card. He goes, how did you get this to me? We just met yesterday. And I explained, I said, we mailed it early. He goes, Steve, if your systems are that well thought through and that dialed in, and I'm not even your client yet, I can only imagine what it would be like if I hire you to sell my house. Now, there's somebody in this room, maybe many of you, that have a very good question. What if they cancel the appointment the day of the appointment? It's a really good question. Let's read the card. Trudy and Bob, it was a pleasure speaking with you about your objectives. I very much appreciate the opportunity to help you sell your home. Please don't hesitate to let me know if there's anything further that I can do to assist you at this time. Thanks again, Steve Nassar. We put a $10 Starbucks card in there, by the way. Do you see anywhere in that card that it says we met yesterday or we met at all? It does say we spoke about their objectives. Did I tell you guys I always get on the phone prior to the appointment? Okay. Believe it or not, and that scenario has happened many times over the years, right? Where we schedule an appointment, they call the day of the appointment, their kids are sick, and they need to reschedule. You'll get this the next day. It actually is good. It actually, if they haven't rescheduled, it reminds them to reschedule, and it shows follow through. It shows follow through. It's never been a bad thing. It's always been a good thing. Okay? Let me, and I want to take a moment. I used the word choreograph earlier, and I want to touch on this now. Okay? So Monday afternoon at 2 o'clock, seller called me, and we had our full consultation. We set an appointment for Thursday. I immediately sent them the excited for the opportunity email with my video and some reviews, client reviews, a lot of client reviews. Tuesday morning at 10 a.m., they got 2 examples of nearby homes that are slightly higher priced. They got to see the wonderful presentation and the success we had with those, along with all the marketing that we created for those, along with a link to my entire portfolio of everything else. Wednesday, they get a beautiful, impressive seller welcome package with their names printed on it and a customized message printed inside, explaining the entire process of selling a house while peppering in all the great marketing that we're going to do. Thursday, and we're going to go here in a second, I show up with bells on to do my listing appointment, right? Friday, they get a personalized handwritten card with a $10 Starbucks. Is anybody in this room still questioning why I get 95% of my listings? Let's keep going. Okay, next. Again, we're following our checklist. We are getting ready for the listing appointment on Thursday, right? I prepare my comps. I prepare a CMA to help price the home competitively. I print it out and put it into a beautiful PPG folder along with my business card. Looks something like this. This is what I take. This is my leave behind, in addition to having this with me. It's my leave behind. Our folders even have beautiful imagery on the inside. And I'm going to actually show you on the next couple slides. Most of you guys use our MLS in this room, and there are other agents that are in different MLSs, and you'll get the gist of what I'm taking with me. Go to the next slide, please, David. Okay, this is the folder. Here on the right side, I create my CMA and RMLS. I use Toolkit CMA profiles. I take the map of comparables to your home. It's on the front. I have the summary of comparable listings right behind it, and then I have comparables to your home, which is a little bit more about all of them right behind that. Okay? On the left side, I take everything I can find in RMLS about that listing. If it's been listed, and that would be the most recent listing. If it's been listed 3 times, I don't take all 3. I just take the most recent one. And usually, that's the listing when they bought it, if you think about it, right? So, the photos that I'm taking are the photos that they fell in love with and later bought of that house. And by the way, that's a part of my listing presentation. As we're sitting at their table, I will show them this photo report. Oftentimes, they'll tell me, they will have told me, yeah, we remodeled the kitchen, we did this project on the backyard, and I'll pull it up and I'll say, look, this is what your kitchen used to look like. This is what your backyard used to look like. And they love that. They connect with that. I take the client full, not the agent full. I do not want to leave behind another agent's name and number, especially one that's already sold the house. I take the photo report, I take the history report, and I take the tax full. If the house has never been listed, I take the tax full. Okay? Those are the items that I'm taking in my leave behind and in my folder. Okay? Other items I take. I also take a Premier Home Showcase or a magazine. Those of you in the room, you have one of these on your chair. You have the Showcase on your chair. These are both similar. One is for higher end listings, one is for more modest listings, okay? In my world, 900 and less, I'm taking a Showcase. 900 and above, I'm taking the Premier Home Magazine, okay? One's 32 pages, one's 24 pages. There's a few other differences, okay? I'm taking this to also leave with them and to explain that while a lot of my competitors are simply creating a 2-page flyer or some other meager piece, we create an entire book with jaw-dropping imagery, jumping off the page for buyers to take. Usually from my experience, the buyers not interested in the house aren't taking one. The ones taking one are. I also explain to them that this is a great keepsake. When we print dozens of these and bring them to your house, set 1 or 2 aside. I promise you 10 years from now, when you're in another home, maybe far away, you'll pull this book out of a drawer and you will love seeing the home that you raised your kids in for 30 years, looking its best on that day after we did all that we do to make it look its best and photographed it. And then I leave that behind for them. Usually I'm taking ones from listings that sold and we had extras. That's usually what I'm taking. I also take a generic copy of the Premier Seller Blueprint. Generic copy does not have their name on it. We have a version that doesn't have any name customized on it. It's just a general letter and no name printed on the front. Remember, this is my listing presentation. I need to have it. In the off chance that I go to their house and they don't have this readily available, maybe they took it to work or took it off property or something, I need to pull this out of my computer bag that I'll have with me and use it for my listing presentation, okay? By the way, more often than not, generally speaking, when I show up to their house, this is on the kitchen table ready for the appointment. I also make sure that my computer is fully charged and my hotspot is fully charged, okay? I take a hotspot. I do that because I've learned over the years that 50% of the time, they are not going to know their Wi-Fi password. And ironically, you guys chuckle, ironically, 50% of the time, that they don't know their Wi-Fi password. They think they know their Wi-Fi password. So a lot of times, I will have said, is it easy to jump on your Wi-Fi? They'll, yeah, we'll get you the password. They look around, rummage around for 10 minutes and come back and sheepishly say, no, we don't have the password. So I take a hotspot, okay? I need that hotspot so that I can go through my comps there with them at their kitchen table. We can go through my marketing presentation. I can show them everything I need to do. It's funny, this is part of my presentation, but nothing rattles me more at a listing presentation than a technology issue. Nothing rattles me more than a technology issue. So I go out of my way to make sure that doesn't happen. I want every system working, every tool charged. I think of a professional golfer. Can you imagine a professional golfer in a major golf tournament realizing suddenly they don't have their 7-iron? Now they either got to hit their 8-iron real hard or their 6-iron soft. Can you imagine how that would rattle them? We are professionals. It's important that our tools and systems all be working and fully charged. Okay, let's go to their house. I'm ready for the listing appointment. Okay, so then I meet them at the door, make small talk, greetings. I offer to take off my shoes. I ask if it's okay to set my computer bag with all of my stuff in it. Interesting side point. A computer bag is a socially acceptable way for a man to have a purse. If you don't think so, just ask me if I have chapstick in there. I ask if I could set it at a kitchen table or island where we can later reconvene. If they offer me at any point in the appointment water or something to drink, I always say yes. I would never rebuff their hospitality. Okay? I then say something along the lines of, this generally works best to start with the grand tour. See the entire house and property, and then we'll reconvene back here at the kitchen table. I walk through the home to assess its condition and highlight key selling points while skillfully pointing out challenges and how to address them. I ask lots of questions, I take lots of notes, and I strive to find common ground, build rapport, and build trust. Okay, compliment the home a lot, but be genuine. Be genuine. Don't compliment things you don't truly feel are nice, are good. Also, be genuine in talking about some challenges and maybe how to address them or how you've addressed them in the past. Be real with them, okay? I also try to find common ground and build rapport, okay? Let me give you an example of this, a couple examples. When I'm in the garage, looking at the water heater and the furnace, and kind of seeing the garage, you better believe if I see a set of golf clubs there, I'm going to zone in on that. Hey, I see someone's a golfer. Which of you two is a golfer? Where do you like to play? How long have you been playing? That conversation sometimes can go for 5 minutes. We'll stop right there and talk for 5 minutes about a shared passion, right? The same can be true about maybe if you're in the bonus room and you see a Blazer jersey or a Duck jersey. Are we allowed to talk about that yet? Or other sports memorabilia. Maybe you see a memento about a travel destination. Maybe you see something that conveys they went to Australia. And you can genuinely, I've never been to Australia, but you can genuinely ask some questions. Tell me about it. How was your trip? What's it like to fly for 20 hours? Did you watch 10 movies in a row? Because that's how I gauge how long a flight is for me. Be interesting. They are interviewing, in addition to interviewing the best person to sell their house, they are also interviewing somebody that's going to be a part of their life, a big part of their life, for the next 90 plus days. And let's be honest, everyone, in the environment that we're in and the market we're in, some of us have had listings for a year or longer. So be real, be interesting, be a human being with them, in addition to being a professional. Okay. When we're done with the tour, usually at some point, it's obvious to me that we've seen everything. I'll say, okay, great. I think we've seen everything. Have we? Okay, let's go back to the kitchen table. I did some research in advance of this appointment. I'll pull out my computer, we'll go through the data and the comparables, we'll talk pricing strategy, and I'll share a little bit about what I do that makes me so special to work with and answer any questions that you guys have, okay? When we're done, we go to the kitchen table. I pull out my computer and PPG folder with comps. I show the seller recent sales in the area utilizing a combination of my computer and digital images along with the printed comps and map that I brought. I explain we are not looking for an identical twin, because that doesn't exist, of their house, right? We are high level, standing back objectively and asking ourselves truthfully if our home is more or less desirable than another in the same weight class in our general proximity. If we are better, we should be priced higher. If we are inferior, we should be priced lower. Going over a decent swath of homes in this manner usually results in an agreed upon price range based on the totality of the data, okay? And I'm actually going to guide you through this process, okay? This is not intended to be a CMA class. There will be a couple hints of how to pull CMAs, but this is more, you guys in the audience are my seller for this portion. I'm going to show you on a specific example of a listing of mine that I recently sold, some comps and how I price a house. Just because this is a big part of getting the listing. You have to align on price. If you don't, you could do everything right. Someone else aligns with them on price and they got the listing. So let's go to the next screen. This house on Rogers Road in Lake Oswego, it's actually right across Cruiseway. It's here in the Westlake neighborhood. I sold this about 1.5 years ago, okay? This house was built in 2017, okay? Let's go to the next slide, David. Okay, again, I'm in RMLS Toolkit CMA Profiles. You will see that this house is basically 4,000 square feet, right? 3,950 square feet. Because it was built in 2017, most newer homes have small lots. It's 0.13 acres, it's a small lot. It's a 4-bedroom, 4-bath. I click next onto comparables, and then I go next to radius next. And again, this isn't a class on how to pull comps, but I will say a couple things in this process. First of all, I do a 1-mile radius. Remember I said I'm pulling homes in our weight class? That basically usually means size, okay? Now, if it's an acreage property, it could also be size of house and size of lot, okay? It could be both. But in this case, our home was 4,000 square feet. I'm looking at homes within 1 mile that are 3,000 to 5,000 square feet. I'm going 6 months back on the sold comps, okay? You can see there the count. There's 22. I love that number. It's not too many, it's not too few. If it was too many, say it was 35, 30 maybe even, I would tighten something up. Now, I have a couple different levers I could play with. I could go 3,500 square feet to 4,500 square feet, or I could also go 3/4 mile or 1/2 mile. If it was too few, I'd have to loosen something up. I don't want to go more than 1 mile. I'm already 1,000 square feet off on size. I would probably go 9 months back or 1 year back, okay? But for the purposes of this today, it's a good count, so let's go to the next screen. This takes me to the screen I would have up with my sellers on my computer, okay? By the way, if you like this view, where it shows the front of the house, a map, and these are fields that I all hand-picked, you can do that in RMLS. I'm not going to tell you how to do that. In fact, I don't even remember how I did it. I did it years and years ago. But if you call RMLS, they will work with you on the phone to create a customized view like this, okay? This shows the actives. Next screen shows the pendings, and then the solds. I would explain to the seller, we need to look at all of those, okay? The actives are true comps. They're true competition. Sorry, not true comps. They're true competition. Somebody could walk into that house, they could walk into your house and go, which one do I want to buy? We have to be careful with the actives because they haven't been validated by a buyer. We don't know if they're overpriced themselves. The pendings are great. They're real time. They're happening right now under our feet. They're not 6 months old even. The downside with pendings is we don't know what they're going to close for and probably can't figure that out. Solds are probably our best comps, right? They're our best comps. We know everything about them. We know when they hit the market. We know what price adjustments they did. We know what they were when they went pending. We know what they sold for. And they did sell. Okay? Let's go to the next screen. Okay, I'm going to laser in on one comp in particular, and I'm going to show you how I would talk with the seller, which in this case is you, in pricing their house against it. Okay? Remember, you are sitting in Rogers Road. By the way, I love doing this at the kitchen table with the seller for a few different reasons. Okay? I know some agents do a two-touch system where they go to the house, see it, then leave, go do their research, and then come back. Do you remember when I said, there's a few reasons. There's a few, okay? Efficiency is one. Remember when I said I sometimes go 5 to 10 listing appointments per week? I can't do 10 to 20. I don't want to do 10 to 20, okay? But that's not the only reason. It's not just about efficiency. I can't tell you how many times I'm sitting at their kitchen table looking at pictures of the comps, and I will look at their kitchen as I'm looking at a picture of the kitchen to compare the two. I will look at their backyard out the back window as I'm comparing the two. I'm there. That is the best place to understand how to price a house, is there with them. And I'm taking them on the journey with me. I'm showing them the math. I'm not just leaving and coming back with a number circled in red. Okay? So, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I'm sitting at your kitchen table. You're in Rogers Road. You are 4,000 square feet. You're built in 2017, but you're 0.14 acres. Amberwood Circle here. It sold for 1.575. It's 3,400 square feet. It's smaller. It is a bigger lot. It's 0.24 acres, and it's 1993, so it's an older home. By the way, those older floor plans, we all know those Westlake homes. They all have that front living room, the formal living room that no one uses except Christmas time to put a Christmas tree, and they stopped making those a long time ago. Rogers Road did not have that. The next thing I would do is I would click on the map. I would show them this is where this house is located. Rogers Road is right here, by the way. We're right here. Okay, then I'd go to the next. Now I would pull up the photos on my computer in front of them in real time. I would click here. We would see the front of the house. Now this is a 3-car garage. Rogers Road was a 2-car garage. We would talk about that. Then I'd go to the next photo, and I'd say, look, this house is fully updated. It has beautiful white oak floors, nice lighting, wonderful paint job, crisp. I'd go to the next photo. The kitchen is completely redone. I'd go to the next photo. You see it has a really nice family room, has a nice fireplace. You have great views of a big backyard, bigger than Rogers Road. Then I'd go to the next photo. You'd see there's a big primary suite. Again, everything looks fresh inside. It's a nice size. Then I'd go to the next photo, and you can see the great yard. That is a way better yard than Rogers Road had. Okay? Next, when I'm done looking at all the photos, and that wasn't all the photos, but for the purpose of today, it gives you a flavor of what we're looking for, I would go to the history. And I would show them on the next page. This came on the market at 15975, August of 2024. They were at that price almost 30 days later when they got an offer and closed at 1575. Okay? We would then could agree, generally speaking, having gone through this process, that we are a little bit better house than this. Just a little. It has a couple things nicer than us. It has a 3-car garage, bigger lot, but it's 1993. We're brand new, everything's new, a high quality build. We also are bigger. So then we would go to the next house. Now I'm not going to do this again, but we would go through that same process on Quarry Road, which was closer to our size. It was 3,953 square feet. It sold for 162. It was a big lot, 0.4 acres. It was an older home, and we would look at the photos of that. At some point in this process, and it might be on Winthrop Court here, which Winthrop Court is a bigger house than Rogers Road. It's 4,161 square feet. It did sell for 179. It's built in 2021, so it's even newer than Rogers Road, and it's a bigger lot. At some point, we're going to see a nicer house than us. And that's how you price a house, Mr. and Mrs. Seller. That's how you bookend. We're not this nice, but we're nicer than this. So now what are we closer to? And where should we be? Okay? At some point in that conversation, we reach a consensus. It's important to reach a consensus. Okay? With few exceptions, we reach a consensus. The only exceptions to reaching a consensus would be they're still remodeling something, maybe they're not listing for a long time, so on and so forth. Okay? Once we've reached that consensus, we move on. I let them know. I say, okay, now I'd like to take a few minutes and share with you everything I do that is going to help you get top dollar for your house quickly, okay? At that point, the first thing I do is I pull out my Premier Home Showcase or Premier Home Magazine, and I explain to them like I did earlier to you. I'm not going to say it again, that it's a great keepsake, it's a takeaway for buyers. A lot of my competition is doing something a little bit less meager than this. And I explain, this is what I bring to the table. This is what my company brings to the table. This is the power of our brand and our economies of scale and what we're able to do with our in-house printing platform. The next thing I would do is go through, I would ask them, if it wasn't readily obvious, if they have this still, okay? More often than not, this is sitting on the table. I will ask if I can have that, and I say, I want to share with you in this publication that I had sent to you, everything I'm going to do, as well as the process that we're going to go through, okay? And that's what I'm going to do right now. And we are wrapping up. I will be done on time, I promise you guys. I might even need a drink of water. Okay, so the next slide is this, okay? Most of you have this on your chair. You had it on your chair. Feel free to follow along as I go through this. First thing I do is I say on the cover, did you notice that we printed your name on this publication? And on the next page, I would say, we also have you this fully customized. Because of our size and strength as a company and as a brand, we have the resources, the pooled resources to do things that our competition cannot get near. Then I would turn the page. Every one of our agents is able to customize this page uniquely to them and their resume. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this page. If you were my seller, I would. I would talk about who I am, my experience, a little bit about my sales volume and more. Okay. Next page. This is where I talk about Premier Property Group. I again talk about our size, strength, network, pooling of resources, economies of scale, and all that we're able to accomplish while still being hyper local right here, not some national brand. On this page, I talk about some recent success and sales that we've had in their vicinity. On this page, I explain the key to successfully marketing a home begins with strategically helping the homeowner present their property in the best possible light. On the next page, I explain to them that this is the process of selling a house. This is the blueprint from start to finish, from analysis and goals to escrow and closing of selling a house. You, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, are already on this journey. Believe it or not, today we've already knocked a bunch of these steps, done a bunch of these steps, okay? I would turn the page. For example, we've already analyzed the property. We've identified challenges and how to address them. We've also talked about a lot of the great things your home has going for it. On the next page, I would say we've already talked about your goals, your timelines, your objectives, and all that we're trying to accomplish. On the next page, we would say we've talked and we'll continue to talk about the market, the state of the market. I think hopefully a lot of you will agree. Hopefully it's getting better this year. Let's all hope. And then we would say we've already talked about price, the comps, and come up with a strategy on how to price your home. Okay? On the next page, and this is the brilliant thing about this presentation. This page is designed for you to stop, because it says commitment and paperwork, and talk about your paperwork. What it looks like to proceed forward with you as their agent. Okay? On this page, I stop and say, should we decide to work together, we are at this stage. The next step for us would be for me to send you my listing paperwork, for you to review it, and look it over, ask questions, and then sign it, okay? Let's, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, talk about that paperwork. I list for X commission. The term of the contract would be X. I want to have that conversation face to face, belly to belly, eyeball to eyeball, right then and there, okay? I want to see how they respond, I want to see their questions, and I want to adjust appropriately as needed if needed. Okay? I do not want to leave this house And they later tell me or ask me, what is your commission rate, Steve? And I have to explain that over the phone, or even worse, via text. And then I don't hear from them for 4 days. And maybe ever again. So that's brilliantly built into the system, is to stop, have that conversation. Once we move past that, I flip the next page. And I say, okay, once the contract is signed, the next big thing we do is we reconvene here on your property along with key allies and partners, and in my case, White Glove Home Staging and Improvements, where we are going to go through your house with a fine-tooth comb, with checklists. And I actually pull up a checklist. I'll show it to you in a second. And we're going to talk about anything and everything that we need to do here to ready this home to go on the market. Everything from general contractor or handyman work, staging, window washing, power washing, roof cleanup, on and on and on. I also inform them that Premier Property Group uniquely has an in-house loan program called the Premier Refresh, where any one of our agents can have their client scan this QR code and in a matter of 5 minutes do a soft credit pull and borrow up to $50,000 on a line of credit to do anything that is necessary to do on this house, not limited to, but including staging, lighting, flooring, paint, and beyond, with no payments due until close of escrow. My experience shows me that even the sellers that don't need that $50,000 appreciate that we have all these resources to help them through the process. And it conveys we know what we're doing and are good at it. Once I then explain to them, I say, once we've come up with we've done our strategy session, we've identified everything to do, you've approved the bids, we've executed on all the work, then we're going to set up a timeline and we're going to come up, and I turn the page. By the way, this is the checklist that I pull up. The checklist is not in the book. I pull it up on my computer. Remember? My computer's right here. The book is right here. I pull it up and I explain to them, this is anything and everything that needs to be done on a house, getting it ready to go on the market. Bark dust, landscaping projects, roof gutter clean, curb appeal check, good looking numbers, flowers, pressure washing, window washing, et cetera, okay? We will send this checklist out along with the slide deck to those who want it. Next page. I then explain, once the house looks strategically its best, we bring in our dream team of media providers for world-class photography, cutting-edge home video tours. Go ahead and turn the page, David. Remember, this is how we look at their kitchen table. I'm going page by page. My computer's open. At this point, I pull up my email with my 2 examples of homes that are slightly higher priced than them in their proximity. I ask if they saw the videos and the 3D tours that I sent, okay? Even if they say they did, I would still pull it up. I would still show it to them. I would still explain all the intricacies of the why and how and what we do, okay? I would show some photos of those homes. I would show some beautiful twilights, explain the importance of the photography. On the next page, this talks about 3D tours. I would do that again. My computer would be open, and I would show the 3D tour. I'd show the matter tagging. I would show the highlights. I would show that a buyer anywhere in the world can experience this house inside and out remotely. I would then talk about our beautiful signage, how our signs actually flatter and add to their curb appeal and make their homes look their best from the street. I would talk about our print marketing. Next page, David. This is me showing the 3D tour. I would say I already shared with you the crown jewel of our print marketing, but beyond that, we also have beautiful flyers, 4-page flyers that go, very thick stock that go inside your flyer box. We have little mini house cards as well and other items throughout the home peppered around to add to the presentation. On the next page, I would talk to them about how in the days prior to going on the market, we would send their home as a coming soon to thousands of local agents. We would also share with them back-end analytics that show how many of those opened the email up. I would talk about the single property website, the Premier Tour, where we're going to house all of the great marketing that we create in one place. I would tell them that a core belief of mine is that great marketing is only great if you put it all in one place and drive people to that place, not have it fragmented in a bunch of different places. I would then talk about the great listing exposure we're going to do once we take them onto the market. I would say, yes, we're going to put you in the MLS. Yes, that's going to go to Zillow. Yes, that's going to go to Redfin, Realtor.com, and beyond. But we're also going to, through a powerful partnership that Premier Property Group has, we're going to get you into the real estate section of the Wall Street Journal, the Robb Report, Financial Times, Mansion Global, PropGo, Market Watch. I would actually pull up the Wall Street Journal on my computer and show one of my listings there in the real estate section of it. And I would explain to them that the average household income of somebody in the Wall Street, reading the Wall Street Journal, is $361,000, and the average net worth of that household is $2.3 million. On the next page, I would talk about taking their house on the market. I would talk about our open house strategy. I would talk about showings. I would talk about how we would navigate showings. On the next page, I would talk about getting an offer. I would talk about negotiating timelines, responding to the buyer's requests, access to an array of selling strategies and addendums. On the next page, I would talk about closing the deal. I would talk about how I would handle inspections, appraisals, ensure all documents are worded correctly, manage and advise on timelines, coordinate title, escrow, lenders, vendors, and various other service providers. And then we would get your house closed. On the next page, I say, at one point, I sent you guys a link to my reviews. Did you get a chance to look at some of those? If you didn't, I encourage you to go back and see those. There's over 400 available. And that's it. That's the end of the brochure. At that point in my presentation, I ask what further questions the seller has. Actually, then I say, now that I'm done, what questions do you guys have? And I go, wait, I have a question for you. Are you impressed yet? 99.99% of the time they say yes. Steve, we're very impressed. Then I answer their questions. I say, okay, what questions do you have? From my experience here, there are very few general questions. I just toured their home. I just talked about its condition. I just talked about the entire process of selling a house from start to finish. I just shared all of the great marketing that we're going to do. There's usually not a lot of ancillary general questions. Now, once in a while, they'll ask, hey, should we change this carpet? Should we paint this wall? But the questions are limited to that. Okay? Once they've asked their questions, I power close them. Are you guys ready for this? You're going to be very grossly underwhelmed. I say, I know I've given you a lot to talk and think about. So when is a good time for me to follow up with you to see what other further questions you have and if you're ready to proceed forward? And they give me a day and time. And you absolutely better believe I'd follow up with them on that day and time. I leave there, I say my goodbyes. The next day they get the handwritten card with a $10 Starbucks. And then I follow up exactly on the day and time that we agreed I would. Usually early on in the day if they didn't give me a specific time. From there, I keep after the closing appointment, I keep things moving forward. If they say that they're going forward, sometimes they'll have further questions when I check in with them. That's usually a good sign, but usually a decision is made soon thereafter. After that, should we move forward, I send the listing contract for review, making sure the seller understands all the terms. I answer all their questions. Once everything is clear, we finalize the contract and officially list the home. Okay? By following these steps, I've created a smooth, predictable process that results in winning the vast majority of listings that I compete on. From the first phone call to signing the listing contract, I ensure that my sellers are wowed, feel confident and supported throughout the entire journey. This system works, and it's what I rely on to win most of my listings and deliver results. Thank you, guys. What questions do you guys have for me? Wait, are you guys impressed yet? Maybe that's my power close.